Blue Protocol Star Resonance has finally made it to live release, and to say that the gaming community has waited far too long for this to come out would be the understatement of the decade. Thankfully, it's here though, and I hope everyone's having a good time trying out the game. Like with any MMORPG, I'm sure the first thing on everyone's mind is having a good start to the game, considering the genre is notorious for not being too clear with what you should do beyond the basic tutorial. So, in celebration of the game coming out, and also to help ensure you guys have a smooth opening to your experience, I wanted to make a video giving you as many helpful beginner tips as I possibly can. Stuff you should make a priority to do, pitfalls or beginner traps to avoid, and a couple tidbits on how to best optimize your progression. I had the privilege of playing during the beta test, and while things are of course subject to change, I hope you find these insightful nonetheless. We're gonna go through as many tips as possible in no particular order, so without further ado, let's begin. Tip 1. One class at a time. While I'm by no means implying everyone watching this video has to be a hardcore sweaty player trying to min-max the game, I will recommend that you make an effort to max out one class first before going into other classes. MMOs are structured as such that it becomes increasingly easier for you to get more resources the further you progress through the game. In gacha terms, vertical invest first and then horizontal invest. Spend all your resources and time working on your first character, as that will not only allow you to access most of the game's content at a faster rate, but you'll also be able to use that class to help fund your other ones. Again, if you're trying to play the game just to play it, then feel free to progress however you want, but my suggestion would be to pick a single one, play that one all the way to endgame, and then work on your other classes. Progression in the early game will naturally be quite slow, as it will take a while for the player to play your economy to build up more items and Luna to enter circulation. So for the time being, your focus is to lock into a single class and only invest in that, which brings me nicely to tip number 2. Choose your class carefully. It should go without saying that everyone should just play the class that resonates most with them. If you like being a DPS, then play DPS. If you like being a healer, then play a healer. MMOs, however, impose emphasis on party play, naturally incentivizing you to form groups of players to take on bosses and dungeons. But if you're not already dead set on who you want to play, take a bit of time to consider classes that will be in high demand amongst other players. Generally, when it comes to MMOs, the majority of the player base will want to play DPS characters. Understandably, they have the flashiest playstyle and highest engagement. However, a well-designed MMO should be balanced around appreciating and requiring all classes. For that reason, healers and tanks are going to be in short supply and therefore higher in value, especially in the early days of an MMO, considering people are still not fully optimized or geared out to not have to require support and whatnot. For the purposes of getting yourself established, Verdant Oracle is a practical choice. Yeah, that's a good word for it, practical. A standard healing support class basically, which can no doubt come in handy while the community is still learning how to take on everything in the game. Healers are almost always the least popular choice in MMOs, but it's also why they're so important. Guilds and raid groups are most likely going to want to have a couple oracles in their party, so that might be something to consider. In any case though, play what you enjoy the most. Speaking of guilds, tip number 3, join a guild fast. Star Resonance gives you a multitude of incentives to join a guild. Not only is the game simply more fun to play when you know people, notably that warm and fuzzy feeling you get when they say welcome back every time you log in, but they got some very important stuff worth checking out. To start, guilds have a special daily cargo you can claim every day by doing a quest. As the name implies, they ask you to deliver a few things to them, and in return you get some materials including Unbound Luna to supplement your daily income. Guilds also have their own shop as well. By earning guild tokens, you can access a variety of useful items ranging from crafting materials to currency and other stuff. The item in particular that I recommend you target every week are the focus potions. These are pots that restore your stamina. In total, you can acquire 2 days worth of stamina to grind your life skills and whatnot every single week. So do not miss a chance to get these. As soon as possible, make sure you join a guild or make your own and actively work on leveling up the guild hall. The extra stuff you pick up from guild related matters can definitely add up over the long run. Tip number 4, conserve resources. The early days of MMOs tend to be very rough in the sense that, as stated earlier, people are just starting the game, and expectedly, it's gonna take some time before the player base collectively is able to accumulate enough money and items to put into circulation. The trading center won't have that much to go around for a bit, so you essentially have to play this game like it's every man for himself. In light of that, preserve your stuff as much as you can and only spend when there's no other method of recourse available, including and especially Luna. You'll find out early on in this game that there are 2 types of money, bound and unbound Luna. The difference between them is that bound Luna has a few restrictions to it, like for example you can't use it for trading center stuff. Unbound Luna has no restrictions and can be used for anything that Luna can buy. Unbound Luna should be treated like gold and not spent until later in the game. But whether bound or unbound, you'll want to actively conserve both. Money will always be more valuable than time early on, so anything that can be grinded for, always pick that route, even if there's a faster, more convenient option available at the cost of Luna. For instance, when working on your life skills, you can acquire materials to turn in for your weekly quest to get profession experience without expending stamina, and these materials can be bought from NPCs. Tempting as they may be, I highly advise against it, better to farm them. Over time, Luna will inevitably decrease in value as more and more players get through the game and the player base accumulates more. When the trading center expands in size and inventory and you get closer to endgame, then you can start blowing through your reserves. But in the early days, always choose the option to grind for something, then buy it. Conveniently, that brings us to tip number 5, avoid buying stuff from the trading center until later. This one comes down to personal preference, but I would hold off on buying anything from the trading center. In any MMO with a player-to-player economy, because of how scarce things are, people will likely be selling items, orbs, and Luno in the trading center at a marked up rate. In other words, you're gonna get ripped off more often than not. The majority of items in the game will gradually decrease in value because players will continuously try to undercut each other and lower the price down further and further. More stuff will be listed and prices will eventually come down. If you think about it, the only purpose the trading center serves is convenience. You're essentially paying a premium to have someone else get the materials and whatnot for you. A number of things can be traded for premium currency, like for example you can buy gacha skins and whatnot which you cannot obtain in-game through normal means, but even those items will eventually decrease in value since more players will probably be putting up those skins to make some quick cash. In general, it's impossible to ascertain the objective value of items listed by players on account of the price of them fluctuating based on supply and demand. One thing is for certain though, demand will be at an all-time high on release while supply will be low. Do not buy stuff from the trading center in the early game and instead focus on farming if you can. Tip number 6, get to work on your life skills as soon as possible. Life skills are a series of professions you can work on that are conducive if not outright instrumental towards your endgame progressions. However, they're almost completely optional to do, which is why I want to make sure you guys remember to do them. Though Star Resonance is an MMO and allows you to play the game endlessly, they do have a stamina system which recovers at a rate of 400 per day and serves as a time gate for certain things. Main way to use stamina is by working on your life skills. More detailed guides are available for life skills, but the long and short of it is, there are 6 types: smelting, culinary, gem crafting, weaving, artisanry, and alchemy. Each are helpful for a particular thing. For example, smelting helps you create refinement materials to increase your equipment quality, or culinary lets you consume food items to get stat bonuses. However, life skills are not all created equal. Stuff like smelting and gem crafting are far and away the most important ones to go for, but in general you want to work on maxing all of them eventually. Like I prefaced earlier, even if you exhaust your stamina, you can still grind life skills by doing the turning quests and farming materials. As a reminder, do not buy materials from NPCs this early in the game when Luno is worth its weight in gold. Progressing through this system is pretty intuitive, just follow the instructions and maybe check on a detailed guide video or two, but the bottom line is, do not forget to do your life skills at the earliest opportunity. The sooner you do this, the better. And if you're quick to do it, maybe you can capitalize on the opportunity to sell things to other players for some profit. Just gotta be quick about it though. Tip number 7, increase your ability score. Ability score is an arbitrary value assigned to your characters to determine how strong they are and your ability to take on certain difficulties. Ability score is influenced by a variety of things, which you can see by simply clicking on your character's stats. Naturally, you'll be upgrading and replacing your equipment as you get better gear and whatnot, but also make an effort to work on your talents and skills, as it can be easy to accidentally overlook those. Talents in particular, you have to go out of your way to progress on them. On top of them, simply being very helpful to work on for the sake of it, you can get a non-negligible boost to your ability score from them. Emblems and modules are more for late to end games, so don't worry too much about them for the time being, but overall definitely get your ability score as high as you can. On that note, when working on your skills, I know in other MMOs you're advised to work on maxing out whichever skills offer the most DPS or value, but in this game, I would recommend going for a horizontal investment strategy as that affords you better ability score. In other words, you want to level up every skill equally instead of prioritizing one of them. Even if that particular skill isn't all that useful, simply leveling up the skill will raise your ability score, so it's integral to do so for completion's sake. Tip number 8, grind bosses for gear. Bosses in this game have 2 different drop tables, one of which can only be accessed by using a boss key. You get 2 of them per day, which by the way caps out at 6, so make sure to use them on a daily basis. And while those are essential for crafting imagines and whatnot, there's a different drop table free to obtain. Those can give you some decent equipment, notably high level equipment, and serves to give you an easy way to get high level gear early on. You can of course grind equipment by doing the dungeons or crafting them, but I think a lot of people won't notice that bosses can be a way to farm equipment too. Tip number 9, never refine gear without guarantee. Refining gear enables you to get more stats from that particular equipment type, and to refine them you have to spend materials and such. Notice however that the success rate is not guaranteed. You'll have a chance to fail and therefore will have to spend more on resources. For that reason, never, and I repeat never, refine gear if the success rate isn't at least like 95% or higher. You can increase the odds of passing the upgrade attempt by using mech shards, which can guarantee or at least near guarantee it. Mech shards can be crafted or purchased in the trading center, and for the most part they're a renewable resource. I say this because the other item needed to make an upgrade attempt, Starforged Crystals, are time-gated items that you can only get a limited amount per day. In order to optimize your early game experience, make every single attempt count, even if you have to spend a bit of time grinding mech shards. Do not attempt an upgrade without at least getting it to 95% or higher. In my opinion, even 80% is too low. Tip number 10. Unlock Floating and Phantom Run as soon as you can. Floating and Phantom Run are optional skills, but extremely handy in overworld traversability. Having Float will later give you the ability to glide around the map to get to places more quickly, which you can obtain by going to the green spot on the map. Same applies to Phantom Run. Phantom Run's a more interesting ability. It's actually mandatory to have in order to obtain certain chests. Exploration utility aside, Phantom Run affords you an additional dash, which can no doubt be a lifesaver in combat when you're trying to avoid certain enemy attacks. Technically, you can get by without these skills, but make some time to get them over with. They don't take that long and you can access them relatively early. Tip number 11. Mystery Shop. Star Resonance has a mystery shop with a bunch of random junk that refreshes on a weekly basis. In there you can find a range of helpful items purchasable by either Orbs or Luna. The items you want to prioritize are shown on screen. You don't necessarily need to get all of these items every single week, but as a rule of thumb, whatever items that are not shown on screen right now, you can probably find more efficient ways to get them manually. Tip number 12. Spend your orbs wisely. Just like Luna, orbs are an important resource you want to be careful about using up. They can be obtained and traded with other players, so as the game progresses there will be more orbs in circulation, but throughout the early game focus on using them only for personal progression. For example, you can use orbs to buy materials to craft inventions, among other things like the aforementioned mystery shop. Spending orbs on the gacha system would be better off saving for once you reach endgame. Unless you're really into skins and whatnot, I suggest being as conservative with your orbs as you can and only use them on things conducive to your progression. Final tip, don't feel pressure to wail on the game. MMOs can be notoriously unforgiving to free-to-play players. I speak from experience, and while Star Resonance does have a premium currency to market conversion in the sense that you can buy orbs to then convert to Luna, or buy orbs to then buy items with said orbs, or even buy orbs to buy items and then sell those items, the game is more than completable by being free-to-play. Beta testers ran calculations on how many orbs and stuff you can get by grinding the game, and I believe the rate is something like $100 will pass anywhere between 20 to 70 days worth of grinding, which may seem worth it, but trust me when I say this game really isn't pay to win. It's more pay to progress if that makes sense, and honestly the speed up isn't really worth it. If you do feel like spending on the game, realistically you can get by on just a monthly card and the season pass every cycle. You can easily do all of the end game by playing the game and grinding it up. Yes, Uber Wheels will be hitting the leaderboards better than you, but at that point it's more for bragging rights than actual completion. Alrighty, so that'll be 13 beginner tips that I think will be useful for all players to keep in mind as they begin their adventure. Like always, I recommend you do as much research as you can, watch and read as many guides as you can, and do your due diligence to give yourself the best experience you possibly can. I hope everyone has a great time playing Star Resonance. You can check the game out on Steam right now if you're curious about playing it. But for the time being, if you enjoyed the video, a like and subscribe would be much appreciated. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter @FarzRM and join my Discord server if you haven't yet. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.